G'day ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Let's Play, Let's Go, Let's See, Let's Do. And today, what the hell are we going to do? Star Citizen, folks, but with a twist. So today I'm going to be calling this recording, let's just say it like that. I don't want to use the word podcast. Talking shite. So what is talking shite? Talking shit, talking crap. I'm not exactly too fixed on a specific title, so it'll probably vary from what you actually are going to be listening to later on. I'm taking the opportunity to try out something completely new. Now, I don't do this type of stuff often, but I thought, why not give it a go? Also, too, I've been quite busy with my actual day job, and so I haven't had the chance to play the game as much. And I'll be honest with you, even more so, editing this beast that was that came out Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday was a fuckload of time and effort, far more than what I've ever invested in one of these videos. So I hope you actually did like them, enjoyed them, and got something out of it, even if it was just a good laugh. So, Talking Shite, what are we looking at? What's the storyline for Talking Shite? In the background that you're actually watching now, maybe listening to, who the hell knows, but what you're actually seeing on your screen is the actual 3+ hour saga mission. I don't think I'm going to be talking for 3+ hours, but you never know. So that's going to go on in the background. I'm not going to be doing like a in-depth Star Citizen review or anything along those lines, so don't worry about that. I'm just literally going to find some bullshit random topics off the top of my head and just, well, talk about them. At the moment, I've got myself set up in my little recording area, and I'll be honest with you, Talking Shite has been an idea that I've actually got with a colleague of mine at work. And he's too much of a coward to join me. He wants to retire first before he actually puts his name up on YouTube as well. So we've probably got a couple of years to go until that actually happens. But Talking Shite is designed, in theory at least, for two old guys, or let's just say one younger and the other one extremely old, and I will let him know that I said that, where we just sit there talk shit. So it is me, an Australian, with a British counterpart. So as you would know, or maybe you don't know, there is a healthy rivalry between Australia and the United Kingdom. And as such, we both tend to take the piss out of each other quite a lot. So for those of you that don't know what that means, it just means we make fun of each other quite often. To the point where you would probably say that's not exactly appropriate behavior for work. And you know what? Probably right. That's why I want to do this YouTube channel. So I've been sitting there for years telling him he should actually just get himself a microphone and we'll do a recording, just a once-off thing. And he's too much of a coward. So I'm going to start this, see how it goes, see what formats work, and obviously go from there. Yeah, so first part of Talking Shite. What have we got on the agenda? Well, basically the idea was to pick a topic of the day and just talk crap about it. That's basically what it was. Now, as you can tell, this is a typical Hey Ev Productions, which means I've got nothing here to actually talk about. So I've got a tissue on the desk. Don't go into that one, boys. I said a tissue, not a tissue box. Relax, keep your mind. Oh, you can put it in the gutter if you want. But yeah, that's basically it. And I've got a mouse and keyboard with a microphone. So yeah, we've planned this out fantastically. Almost as good as me doing bunker runs, to be very honest with you. So, as you can tell, Talking Shite, so far I'm talking a lot of shit. What I want to do, and obviously it's not going to be easily to be done this episode, but what I really want to do is I want to start doing a little bit more I don't want to call it audience interaction because that sounds so petty, but I want like you guys to also be like a guest or something. And I'm thinking, do I do this thing every week, every second week, once a month? I'm not too sure. So if anybody's actually listening up until this point, let me know in the comments what you guys think would be an ideal one. I've got no issue in having like a 15-minute, 20-minute conversation with somebody, not at all. I can also suit time zones and everything like that. We just have to figure out if you got a microphone, how it comes across as, and yeah, literally just go from there. So again, it's just an idea to engage with people. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to interview, but it's not. Don't worry, it's not going to be any personal things. I mean, I'm not going to ask you how many dogs you've had or some rubbish like that. It's just going to be generally talking shit. So that's basically it. And if you're listening to my channel, you know I talk shit quite often, and I think you guys enjoy some of the shit talk. So yeah, off we go that way. So that's what I want to do. And again, if you think that's an interesting idea, obviously not for 3 hours, but if you think this is an interesting idea, let me know. And also let me know if you're really keen on being a part of it, because that would also be at least something that I can work with. If you also think, let's be honest, and again, this is all honesty, if you guys think it's a horrible idea and you don't think that that should be this, or it should be part of the channel at all, again, let me know in the comments. I can easily do either way. So, what's been going on in the world today? Well, today it is, it's a Saturday. I can't really say much. I haven't been keeping up to date with anything, with the exception of a few YouTube videos that I watch. And, yeah. Let's talk about the interesting stuff. Let's talk about mowing, okay? What's mowing, okay? Mowing is another word or way of saying cutting the grass. If you guys live in apartments, you lucky mongrels. You don't have to sit there and cut the grass. Unless you live in Germany. Here's one for you. Did you know, this is going to be a segment for sure. Did you know that in Germany, if you live in an apartment, you can actually go off and hire I don't even know what the hell, how to describe it. It's kind of like a backyard. So you can go off and hire a backyard where you can put a actual, like a cabin on it or something like that. It's kind of like one of those things that kids would actually go into, like to play around with, but obviously slightly bigger for adults. There is a law in Germany that says that you can't live there for obvious reasons. And it is pretty much a backyard. So it's usually they have these things next to the autobahns or train tracks. But it's basically a huge piece of land where they've subdivided up into God knows how many sections. And people that have apartments can hire these things for a year, 2 years, or buy them out, whatever they want to do. And they can sit there and just have like a garden. So some of them have swings in there so their kids can go. Others have like a veggie patch. Others just sit there and grow flowers and things like that. And I think as of yesterday or the day before in Germany, it's become legal to actually grow marijuana. So I'm assuming that's going to happen in those things for sure. And for me, that was an interesting concept. I mean, I've been to Germany several dozen times. I mean, my wife's German. And yeah, that was a very, very interesting thing that I saw. I couldn't understand, like, look, okay. I knew that housing was cramped if you compare it to like Australia or the US, or even in some parts the UK. But I never really understood when I was looking at these things why there's just like these little cabin things and just a bit of a yard. I've gone, Jesus, how fucking bad is it here? Until I got told that that was pretty much the backyard. So people, they usually have these things in the areas where they're living. But again, it may not be close. So your house might be about 3, 4, 5 kilometers away, or maybe 2.5 miles away from your actual backyard. So you actually have to drive there, park your car to go to the backyard. It is the most interesting concept. I mean, good on them. I haven't seen that in Australia at all. We usually have backyards, and if we don't want them, we all live in apartments. That's what we actually do. And I can guarantee you that's exactly the same for the US, because I also live there as well, and in Canada. So yeah, that was quite strange. But yeah, that was some very interesting things that I've seen here. And it's just amazing also to hear when I'm saying here, I'm also thinking back to Germany. So yeah, that was just quite amazing. So there we go. We've got people living in apartments and renting backyards. They have to go there and cut the grass, obviously, if you've got it with grass, or you have to maintain it. That's the whole point. So as you can imagine, the working family usually don't go off and get these things. It's usually the elderly who have a lot of time and like to fuck around in the garden, which is quite common in Germany, as I've seen. To be honest, probably quite common in most places. But yeah. So that was interesting for me. And if you've known about this, again, let me know in the comments if you actually want to know more. For the life of me, I don't really have anything else on that topic, but yeah, very interesting. But going back to the legalization of marijuana, they have done that as well. And it is literally quite recent. I think it's been in the last couple of days, or maybe a week and a half now when this video goes live. So that's also quite interesting. They have... It's quite funny. You gotta love the Germans for this one. They not only have they said it is legal to grow, you can grow at your home, you can grow in the backyard, you can do whatever you like, but they do have some restrictions, or at least some policies in place. And I'll get onto this one. So the first one is, and this is where I fell off my chair laughing. The first one was, you can grow it in most places in Germany, with the exception of schools, kindergartens, and playgrounds. This is where I was on the floor laughing. I've gone, come on, you've just legalized it. Everybody at home can grow it. And who the hell is going to grow it at a kindergarten? But again, there are some strange people out there, so they've made that a law. Which is, what do you want me to say? I think that's a fair law, to be very honest. Don't put it where kids are. But then again, if you're putting it at home and you're growing it there, your kids are there anyway. So if you have them. So yeah, again, doesn't make much sense. But it is kind of the right thing to do. Okay, talking shit. Let's just jump on to a different topic. Autobahns, electric cars, and just general driving in Germany. Here's one for you. You guys have probably heard this before, but I'll tell you the truth about this shit, okay? Because they say stuff, but they don't say shit. Here we go. If we could compare highway driving, motorway driving, or freeway driving versus guys in the UK, or let's just say people in the UK, people in the US, Canada included, and Australia, versus the autobahns in Germany, I will say this. The unlimited speed limit really only works in Germany in that sense. And I'll tell you why. Because as a culture, they mostly tend to follow the rules, especially for driving, but in general as well. In the UK, US, Australia, and Canada, yeah, we follow them, but let's just say we'll consider that more of a guideline than anything else. But in Germany, it's like, that's the rules, that's what you do. And considering, and not to confuse everybody, US and Canada drive on the same side of the road as what they do in Germany. Australia and the UK drive on the opposite side. So when I'm now referring to this, in Germany, when you're driving, you go on the slow lane, which is the right lane. If you want to overtake, you overtake one lane across, and if you're on a 3-lane or 4-lane autobahn, you can keep on going across slowly and overtaking as the car in front of you is slower. But once you've finished overtaking, you have to go back to the right lane. That's the rules. Why? Because the faster cars, the Porsche 911s, the Mercedes-Benz, and the ones that have just got super fast bloody engines in there, they also want to hurl down the autobahn at speeds in excess of around about, I don't know, 230 kilometers, 240 kilometers. And so yeah, it's, as much as it is fun to cut some of these people off, you really can't jump on the brakes at those speeds. You end up crashing into a wall. So yeah, you just have to watch out for that in Germany. And this is why it works, because you don't really hear about massive accidents on the Autobahn. Not really. What you do hear about a lot is the traffic slowing down because bloody construction works are happening on the Autobahn. So you can't do your 230 kilometers or unlimited speed limits. And now they're actually saying in Germany that they want to get rid of the unlimited speed limits and bring it down to about 100, what do they say? 140, 120, or 160. I can't remember the exact number. And I was telling a German colleague of mine, I said, why would you want to do that? You would lose the tourism because, let's be honest, males from the age of 18 through to 24 all know about Germany and the Autobahn, all know about the fact you can drive there, put the foot down, and off you go. And guess where some of them go for fucking holidays? Just so they can hire a car and put their foot down. So, yeah, that's what I keep on telling people. Like, oh, you're going to lose some tourists like that. But, yeah, it's quite interesting, the German Autobahn. It is, yeah, let's go. Let's also now put in some of the misconceptions, okay? I have driven for work across a lot of Germany, north to south, east to west. I've also taken the trains quite a lot for work in Germany as well. That's another story. And let me say it like this. Like in most countries, maybe this item is going to be about Germany today. Sorry about this, my German friends. But what I'm saying is definitely true. Germany, like every other country at the moment, has a big infrastructure problem in the sense of they're not investing. No one is investing. They're just patching. They're not taking the time to do it. And the problem with that is, and again, I'm not saying this to like rattle anybody's cage or anything, but autobahns came in because of Germany in the Second World War wanting to move pretty much their ground units from one side of Germany to the other. And the easiest way to do that was to basically build a road. And that's how these autobahns came into place. That's a bit of history for you. I'm pretty sure it's documented well on many other things. I'm just giving you a brief summary. Problem is, when they've done these things and they've built these things, they built them from the 1930s or maybe 1940s and 1950s. And these things are not just a flat road on a piece of dirt. These things are also on bridges spanning quite a few hills. And so they actually have to fix the foundations of the hill, of the actual bridges and everything. And you just can't do that. Also, too, you just can't cut off a bridge from the Autobahn and say, okay, no one's going on this one, because the exits are few and far between in some cases. So it is quite of a lifeline also as well. A lot of trucks use the Autobahn. And when I mean a lot, I mean I've never seen so many trucks in my life. In Germany, on the Autobahn, they are all there, and they are transporting throughout Europe, and they also use the Autobahns in Germany, going from south to north, east to west, just cutting through. So, for example, you can start off somewhere in Romania and drive through Germany, get to France, for example, or starting in the top of Germany and heading down to Italy or something along those lines. It's massive how the road network is here, and how reliant the transport is on it. So I find it quite interesting just driving on it and just seeing how they're doing it. The problem is, because they can't cut off the roads for repairs or the bridges for repairs, they usually bring everything down to one lane. And so they patch things on one lane or try to divert traffic to the other side of the road. And that's a horrifying thing to see. So if you've got like a 4-lane carriageway and they're doing roadworks on a bridge, they'll actually, before the bridge actually gets there, you'll be diverted into 1 or 2 lanes on the oncoming traffic. Obviously, they'll block off the oncoming traffic, divert them to 2 lanes, and you're all sitting there driving there on the other side of the bridge while they're fixing the other side. It's really interesting the way they do it. Also, too, when do they normally do this? When can you do this? You can't do it through winter. Let's be honest, when it's snowing, you ain't fixing shit. You're not going to sit there with a bloody hairdryer and try to dry the cement or the tar when you're doing stuff. So obviously you can only do that in the summer. Well, take a guess. In Germany, when it's summer, everybody goes on holidays. And quite a lot of them take the car. And then here comes the problems. You've got, what was the biggest one I've seen? I think it was like about a 45 kilometer, what was it? It was a 45 kilometer delay. due to road works. So everything was banked up 45 kilometers. 45 kilometers because they were fixing one fucking bridge. And that's because everybody and the trucks were going to, the people in the cars were going mostly to holidays, but usually they were just driving around. And the trucks were trying to cut through the part of Germany. And that was just 45 kilometers of waiting for traffic to go through this area where they've closed the road from 4 lanes to 1 lane. Unfreaking believable. I understand they have to do it, but yeah, they usually choose summer, and that's always a laugh. So yeah, I've definitely seen a lot of that. I will also say this. I am going to take a stab at the Deutsche Bahn, or the German rail. If anybody's been following the news articles about it quite recently, there's been a lot of, let's just say, what do you want to call it? Strikes. That's one thing they do a lot of in Germany. There have been quite a few strikes with the German trains. And here you go. You gotta love unions. I understand unions, and don't get me wrong, I'm not against unions, but their timing is always just before the Christmas holidays, or the Easter holidays, or some banking long weekend holidays, and then yeah, you end up sitting there. If you're planning to travel, don't travel by air and don't travel by train, which leaves you the car. But as I said a few moments ago, the car, you can end up being in a 45-kilometer traffic jam just because they're fixing the roads at those times. So you don't win. But yeah, so with the German rail, there is, let's just say this. If you walked up to somebody and said to them, tell me what's the first thing that comes to your mind about Germans, German culture and everything, outside of the shit that happened in the 1940s, okay? Let's get past that. What would you say? Well, the first thing that came to my mind when I came to Germany was efficiency. I came here expecting this place to be run like fucking clockwork. Let me tell you the real truth here, folks. It's not. It's definitely not. It's just as fucked up as what it is everywhere else in the world. But they still happen to have that that air of efficiency, which is quite interesting. But then again, not surprising. I mean, as an Australian, let's just say, guys from Australia, you know this. As soon as we exit the country, the bullshit gets turned up to about 99%. So, yeah. So let me just say this, okay? For the people in America, drop bears or having kangaroos in front of people's houses, yes, you may see that on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. You don't see that at everybody's house. I mean, I did not have any kangaroos tied up in front of my house growing up, all right? I have friends that live in the bush and who have farms, and yes, definitely kangaroos are going past there, but you're not going to go down the city streets and see kangaroos just bouncing up and down. So again, that's like a misconception. And again, the German efficiency is a misconception nowadays. It may have been true about 20, 30, 40 years ago. Now, no, not at all. And they've got some really great disasters to let's just say, emphasize my point. And if there are any German colleagues listening, I will say this, okay? Stuttgart 21, which is a train station in Germany, in Stuttgart, which is the main station, the central station, where they've been trying to increase the number of tracks, and I think they're going to try to turn it sideways or do something stupid like that. Regardless, that has been more than a joke. So that's in the, I'd say, kind of south part of Germany. And I'm also going to say the other part, Berlin Flughafen. That is the German airport in Berlin, which is also a joke because that has been a disaster, one after another. They tried to do too much, and obviously, typical contractors, okay? You know how it is, like, no one is going to turn around and say what the actual thing is going to cost in the end. So everybody says, yeah, sure, we can do it for $1 million. and then the damn thing ends up to be like about 150 million. You just go, shit, where did the money go? This is how this stuff works. So it's the same shit everywhere. And again, it's not a dig at contractors, it's more so a dig at the people responsible for these things who try to undercut the competition to get the job, to then maybe realize, or they know, that they can't do it within that budget. But if they start going through it and then they start crying poor, well, obviously it's going to make the people who are running this thing look bad in general, so obviously they'll pump money into it, and that's how this thing goes. So those are very good examples of how projects are definitely not being run well in Germany. I'm not exactly too sure if the airport is now open. If it is, it's quite maybe recent, maybe 1 year, 2 year. COVID fucked everything up even more, but yeah, that's what it is. Now, for efficiency, I'm going to get back to the German rail because I got an axe to grind with these guys. So, back to the efficiency German rails. Okay, the striking parts with the union, this is where it gets even more interesting. The drivers' union is not the same union as the people that actually work on the trains as like ticket inspectors and stuff like that. They belong to a different union. These unions, they say they talk to each other, but they don't. Similar for the airlines. So you got your ground staff for one union, you've got your flight crew from another union, you've got airport personnel of a different union, and so these guys don't go on strike at the same time. They stagger the strikes. So 1 week it can be the flight union, the next week it can be the ground staff union, and the week after that it's the airport staff union. So it's always, it amazes me, let's just say that, just listening to it in Germany. I can't comment for the US because my information of what's happening there is quite a bit out of date. But yeah, it's phenomenal. Like you think clockwork, you think efficiency, eliminating waste and all the other stuff, all the magic bullshit bingo buzzwords that you hear from management. And yeah, definitely not the case. And with the trains in Germany, and I'm going to finish up my point, I'm jumping into different areas, but I'm saying it intentionally. And with the trains in Germany, oh my God, they are horrible when it comes to keeping the schedule. And again, it is, even in today's age with like having your mobile phone, the app, looking at the train, looking at the platform, whenever the train is going to be delayed for more than 5 minutes, you pretty much can say it's not really a 5-minute delay, it's going to be a 5 to 10 minute, maybe 10 to 15 minute. If the changes happen very quickly, where the app doesn't match what you're seeing at the screen at the station, then you know you're in for a treat. On top of that, usually when you are on these trains, you can see the staff around waiting to also jump onto the train, because some places they do, let's just say, shift changes. So Dusseldorf is a good place, Hanover is another one, Berlin, Munich. So all the main areas is usually where they do their shift changing, which is fine, it's no drama. But when you don't see the staff, or when you see them on the platform, and then when they get a phone call, they all run off and you can't find anybody, that's when you know the train's not going to be coming where it should be coming. And it's absolutely insane. Now, yes, in Germany, they do have the high-speed rails. It goes up to, in some cases, 250 kilometers per hour. I've got a photo of that somewhere. So that's also quite cool. It doesn't happen everywhere. But it does definitely happen. So it is quite fast. Like if you're traveling between, what do you want to say, Berlin and Hanover, and I'm just saying like this. So Hanover, why am I saying Hanover? It's more in the northern part of Germany, but it's also it's like a hub. And it's probably the easiest way to say it. Driving from Berlin to Hanover can take you 3 hours on the Autobahn, maybe a little bit less if you're gunning it. Taking the train, it can take you about an hour and a half. That's just how it is. Sometimes a bit quicker, but usually an hour and a half. And that is a nice type of indication. So there is a benefit for taking the train in that case. And again, if you're going from one city to the next city without going around anywhere else, then you'd be silly not to take the train. But if you also want to take the car and gun it, well, you can also do that. But again, with the car, it's kind of a hit and miss when you come to the autobahns for everything that I've mentioned before. And with the trains, it's even now more of a just miss because they're not on time or anything like that. But also too, let's just say this. And this is going to go back. So they're not exactly really good at massaging the data, or at least massaging what they say. So they've got some policy in place where they actually say if the trains are later than 90 minutes, you are entitled to a refund of some kind. And so they give you the paperwork and you have to go do it. And when I mean paperwork, I literally mean paperwork. It's like a form. It's all in German. What the hell do I know about it? But you can fill out the form and they will send you some money back either via post or via some type of a transfer or whatever the hell it is. Or to your credit card. As for as for the data massaging, I think they've turned around and said recently that anything that is more than, I think, 5 or 10 minutes delayed is classified as on time. And this is where I fell down and started laughing. Because in Australia, we've been playing that bullshit game for at least, 20 years. Even more so. So next time, and I've seen this more so in Melbourne than I have in Sydney. But when you guys are at Melbourne, if you're on the, if you go to the train station, have a look at the bottom when they show the statistics, like 95% on time, 85% on time. Because at the bottom, they do have, and they have to do it by law in Australia, they do have the call out what they classify as on time. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but let's just say it like this. It's a lot bigger than a 15-minute window in some cases. Well, at least it used to be. So I always used to laugh when they said like 98% efficiency, but in the fine print, we classify on time between the train arriving when it's scheduled versus 15 minutes extra. So that's like that. When you see numbers like 85% and 75%, you also see the fine print also being extended as well. So we know about massaging the data quite well in Australia. And yeah, just seeing the Germans do that as well, it's funny. You just have to laugh. We are, in some cases, they say everybody is very different, but I've done a lot of traveling for both personal and work-related stuff, and I'll tell you this, I've been to many countries, and we are all the same. Strip away some of the cultural stuff, but to the core, we're all the same. You've got your idiots out there, you've got the people you get along with, you got the ones that you kind of tolerate, but don't want to tolerate after 5 o'clock, and everything in between. So it's everywhere. And I really enjoy it. And I must admit, when I've worked and lived in Germany, and I did that for quite a bit of time, I did actually enjoy it. The language I can't speak, so don't ask me anything about that. But the way that things work and things interact is just so freaking funny, because you think clockwork, Germany, clockwork, come on, this should be happening. And then if you want to upset them, you just mention some of these things like I've said, like the Stuttgart train station and the Berlin airport. Trust me, that will shut them up in any conversation. So yeah, it's quite funny. It's a bit of local knowledge, but it is that. So yeah, Germany, I would say this. Outside of that stuff, people are nice, people are friendly. Very nice to tourists, and again, I've traveled a lot through Germany and I have not had an issue. Yes, let's just say it like this, the language spoken there is not 100% English, but you do manage to get by. And let's just say it like this, the younger the generation that comes up, the more fluent they are in English, as opposed to someone that is 65, 70. But even that, don't think that they don't know. So it's quite funny. I mean, I used to laugh when I went to the coffee shop in Germany, tried to order a coffee, and I would use my, let's just say, a broken German to say something, and then you get the response back, and would you like that with 1 or 2 sugars in English? And you just sit there going, shit, is my German that bad for you to actually talk to me in English, is it? Because I think I can order a coffee like a fucking champion, but apparently not. So yeah, it is quite funny. And coffees in Germany, I will say this, depending where you go, not too bad. I still think Melbourne has the best coffee. I'm going to say that. I know I'm going to copy it in the comments if anybody has been listening to this far. But yeah, definitely, yeah, the coffee's not too bad. I'd say not too bad. But then again, it depends on how you drink your coffees. They've got Starbucks here as well. So if you want to have a shot of coffee with 3 tons worth of sugar, yeah, go for it. They've got that here. They'll cater for you as well. Oddly enough, and I laugh, the only people that go to Starbucks in Germany seems to be the American tourists. I walked in for about 20 minutes just to see what the hell it's all about here. And yeah, it's the same thing like how it is everywhere else. So, yeah, it's funny. But then again, it also depends on where you go to in Germany. So, let's just say it like this. Berlin is, it's a very nice city. It's a very multicultural city. It's also a bit expensive, but not as expensive as some of the places down south in Germany. So, you've got Berlin. Now, if you said you've been to Berlin, I will say it like this, that's nice, it's really cool, but you really haven't been to Germany. You've been to a little pocket. My recommendation, if you are wanting to go and experience what it is to go to Germany, I would say go to Dusseldorf, go to Munich, and if you're going there for Oktoberfest, September, folks, it's not in October. Do your research. I would say if you're going to Dusseldorf, you might as well go to Cologne, or Köln, which is about, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes away by train that way as well. And there you're gonna see some rivalry between Cologne and Dusseldorf. There's huge rivalry. Which beer is the better one? And I am gonna say this, and the guys from Australia, I know I'm gonna cop it, but I have to say it. The German beers shit all over the Aussie beers. I've said it, it's on record, it's on YouTube, you know it's real. Let me just say it like that. I mean, they've got so much variety, and I'm not going to take into consideration the microbreweries, okay? Mainstream beers. These guys, and well, the monks in Germany, which is pretty much where all the beer came from originally, these guys were experimenting is one way to say it. They were fine-tuning their craft, and boy, did they fine-tune it. So you've got a lot of beers. It's not just like the exports. It's not like the Beck's or the Heineken. Heineken even fucking German? I can't remember. But Beck's I know is German. Yeah, and it tastes, let's just say the Beck's. The Beck's that you get internationally versus the Beck's that you actually get in Bremen, which is where they make it, completely different. Yeah, very much so. And also too, if you know this or if you don't know this, I know from Australia that you can't walk around the city with a beer in your hand. The cops will come and tell you off. In Germany, that's not an issue. You can walk around with a beer in your hand. So obviously, what did the tourist do over here? He walked right in front of the police station and asked a few of them to come out, and if it's possible, just to take a photo with me drinking a beer, and the police just giving me these looks. So they were quite nice about it. They thought it was funny. They didn't understand why until I actually told them, and then they looked at me as if I was the crazy one. But yeah, it's quite cool. It's all these little differences that make everything what it is. And again, you tell this story to the Germans that you can't walk around in Australia, especially Melbourne, with an open bottle down the street, and everybody looks at you going, "Why? How do you go to the football?" I go, for that fucking reason. That's why they don't do it. But here in Germany, when you go to a football game or a soccer game, yeah, you've got stands at the front of the stadium where they're selling like beers, cold beers, okay, not this warm shit. Cold beers, and again, depending which area you're going to, it depends on which local beer is there. Obviously, it's not the case everywhere, but it is usually, you can tell. If you're going to watch a football game at the Bremen Stadium, then obviously Beck's is the pellet of poison you're going to be definitely drinking. You can drink the other stuff, but they will give you greasies or dirty looks, like, why are you drinking this shit here? Don't drink a Kölsch from Cologne, or is it Dusseldorf? I think it's Cologne, in a different area. They'll tell you off for it. So that's where you just sit there. You have to start laughing. Go, okay, fair enough. I know where this is going. So yeah, it's amazing. Most of the international rivalries are to do with, or interstate rivalries, let me say it like that, in Germany, are to do with beer, especially for Dusseldorf and Cologne because they're so close, as well as football teams. That's usually a big one here in Europe. I mean, we've got that in Australia as well, but not to the extent as these guys. Like, absolutely nuts. I have actually seen, when I've been to a few football games in Germany, and they actually have the fans from the opposing team. So let's just say that the football game was between Bremen and Hanover. I'm throwing these ones out because they're also quite close geographically. And let's just say the die-hard Hanover supporters going to the football stadium in Bremen for that particular game are police escorted into the city of Bremen and then the stadium. That's where I fell off my chair laughing. I'm going, are you freaking kidding me? I mean, guys in Australia, if you've seen a rugby match, I mean, I've never seen a bloody police escort for I don't know, the New Zealand versus Australia match. Never seen that. Nor have I seen a police escort for the AFL with Carlton and Collingwood, even though that would require a police escort at times. But yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. But yeah, they have police escorts. They have them on special, I don't want to say special buses. I mean, they're coming on like a bus just to save things. But yeah, the police will escort them into the stadium. They'll go to their specific parts in the stand, and yeah, that's where they will be. So that's always yeah. Oh, that was just amazing. So yeah, I think I'm going to be talking a bit about Germany in this one. So it's good to know. Okay, it is good to know. So you got all these things happening. Fuck, what else is there? I mean, you got your football, you got your beers. Ah, the size of the beers. Okay, folks, this is not a pint or a pot. The beers here are fucking, what is it? You get half a liter, 750 mils, whatever you want. They're actually decent sizing beers. And obviously, if you go to Munich, the more southern part of Germany you go, the larger the beer gets. And in the past, as I've been told, usually in the southern parts of Germany, you could also get a beer for lunch and then go back to work. That would be quite nice, but I don't think that happens much anymore. Kind of like back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, where it used to be the Friday afternoon piss up, which is usually you stop working around about 2 o'clock. Make sure someone's gone off and got the beers ahead of time, have them in the little fridge in the office, and start having a good drink, and pretty much you're done for the day around about 4:30, 5 o'clock. And then you get your ass home or go out somewhere else. Like, again, that was my life in Australia back in the day. But yeah, in Germany, again, it is a very different place. It's a different culture. I'll say that like that. But again, if your biggest gripes are which football team and which beers you're drinking, yeah, you don't really have that much to complain about. Where else can I go? COVID was a fun time in Germany, but I'm not going to go on to that one. I mean, that's just too depressing. Let's do something a little bit easier. Geez, what else have they got here? I'm just thinking back, thinking to the cities I've been in and some of the craziness I've seen. I will say this. When I mean craziness, I think I was more the crazy than they were. When I first came to Germany, there you go. I mean, okay, as I mentioned before, what's the first thing that comes to your mind about Germany? For me, it was efficiency. But also I knew others who turned around and said it was like arrogance as well as like condescending or being pricks. I'll say this. In the workforce especially, I think I'm more of the arrogant prick and a cunt than what the German colleagues were at that time. And yeah, I was expecting to be like on a constant, like on the punch-ons every day. And it was definitely not the case. They are assertive, yes, but that is not being a prick or being an asshole or being anything like that. So it's quite funny just to break down those cultural stereotypes. So that was a an interesting one to learn very quickly, especially in the workforce, because I was really expecting huge punch-ons. Also, too, and I'm going to throw this one in there just to piss off the UK colleagues. There seems to be still a little bit of rivalry between the UK and Germany, but more so from the UK's point of view and not the German point of view. It's quite funny. It's the best way I can describe it is having, like, I don't know, a friend or maybe a little brother telling you that they beat you in the game, and they keep on saying it for the next 60, 70 years. That's how it kind of is. It kind of feels like that. So again, it's. I'm not saying that that what happened in the 1940s was a game or anything like that, but it's the way that they keep on saying it even today, where you just gone, well, hang on. First of all, you weren't there, and why would you even bring this up? But they tend to do it. Now, again, the Germans also too are quite polite for the most part, so they don't really say anything. Had they, let's just say, had the Brits did that, or the guys from the UK did that to the Australians, they cop a mouthful. And in some cases, I have given them a bit of a mouthful for it, because I just say, that's not fucking called for. Come on, guys, pull your finger out of your ass. That's a me thing, okay? More than anything else. But, yeah, so we've got some interesting things there. Just trying to think. I'm looking around. What else happens in Germany? Oh, taxes. Fuck me dead. Jesus Christ. Taxes. I think Germany is one of the highest taxed or taxing government. So you actually. I still don't have my head around how this system works, but I think it's close to about 50 or maybe even 55% of your take home is taxed, regardless of where you sit on the bell curve, being from quite poor to rather quite rich. They tax you. Germany has a population size of circa 80 million people, give or take. So yeah, let's just say the government tends to take. But you can do quite a bit for claiming shit in tax than what you can and can't do in different countries. Again, I'm not going to say I'm an expert here at all, but sorry, folks. But yeah, it's definitely a very, very, very complicated system. I mean, tax usually is a complicated system, so they can get people to give them money and not have to question anything. I get that. But in Germany, they've made it an art form to make it extremely complicated. So there is no like My Tax type of software you can get. There is something like that in Germany, but you would not put your life on that. Even some of the accountants, you'd actually question if they know what's really there and what's really going on. But yeah, that is quite a massive thing. And what they do in Germany. Now, I can't say this for everything, but what I have noticed is that they actually hound you to actually submit your tax return within 2 years, which is kind of interesting because, let's be honest, if you're just based on your salary, you're already being taxed. So why would you want to do your tax return again? But in Germany, they enforce it quite a lot. So they even send you letters and all the other stuff like that. So it's quite interesting. In Australia, they know how much you're taxed. They know whatever. And if you want to make a claim, then it's not really up to them if they're not looking to give you money back. Let's just say it like that. So yeah, that's also an interesting one. And again, I can't say it's true for everybody. I mean, just in my experience, I've seen that where you just go, oh shit, hang on, you want the 2020, the 2020 tax thing in 2021, where we're still waiting for paperwork that hasn't been like submitted yet from the companies. Yeah. Please get ready and please submit. You're going, oh fuck, all right. So I don't know if you want to call that efficiency, but yeah, very, very interesting. Pensions and stuff like that in Germany, yeah. Let's just say I think the current retirement age in Germany is, I think, is it 65 or 67 for guys, and I think it's very different for women. But again, that's today. In the next 10 to 15 years, who the hell knows what's going to happen with retirement age? I keep on joking. I'm saying they're going to actually just find me dead at my desk one day. And that's how they're going to, that's how our retirement is going to be. I don't see a huge retirement thing. And this is me talking globally now. So yeah, but again, they do have different systems. Also, too, in the UK, it's also different. Again, in Australia, it's different. In the US, it's definitely different. So there is many different systems with respect to a retirement, let's just say, way of living. So obviously, there is your government pension, which can vary from, I think in the UK, and again, this is where I wish I had my UK colleague here. I think in the UK, it is based on, or at least it's paid by, from the company that you've been employed with. Because I know they keep on talking about pensions, and they usually have a heart attack when the stock price goes down, and they start jumping for joy where it goes up. So obviously, it's something to do with that in the UK. In Australia, we have what's called superannuation, which is basically a fund that they have, that all employees and employers need to pay into. At least when I was when I did it or started it, it was also employees have to pay into it as well. But usually, God, this is going back now. Was it 12% or was it? I think it was 12% from the employers in Australia. So it's a super fund, which basically means it's 12% of your salary before tax goes into this fund. The biggest, let's just say, drawback on this one is that they utilize this on the stock exchange, which means when the financial crisis hit in 2008, a lot of people's retirement money went down by about 30 to even 60% depending on their portfolio. So it's not like they were playing the stock exchange, but the actual companies managing their funds were playing the stock exchange. So yeah, also got to watch out for that as well. And again, apologies for the colleagues in the US, and if anybody's still listening from that point, if you know what it is, I'd be very interested to hear. I mean, I'm not exactly too sure how the systems work there. But yeah, very interesting. It's all this stuff which is making this really interesting. So, bottom line, folks, okay, I'm not going to act as a tourist, as a travel guide. I am a tourist at times. But yeah, I would say if you want to if you've got some spare cash around and you've never been to Germany and you want to check out what it is, get on a plane, go have a look. Best times to go, and again, it really depends on what you like as a climate thing. If you like winter time and snow, come in the December, January, and sometimes February areas. But because of everything that's happening globally at the moment with the weather, fuck, who knows? Summertime is usually August, September, but again, you just have to watch out for that because people are repairing Germany when that time is around. Also, too, here's a good one. I know this especially for Australia and the US, your heating and cooling systems, they don't really have them in Germany, not in homes as a standard or as anything. Even in offices, they don't have them. I was working in an office in Germany where it did not have air conditioning, and so when the mercury went above 35 degrees C, you were cooking in your office, and you couldn't open up, or you could open a window, but that didn't fucking help. So yeah, just take that in consideration. In the hotels, yes, you've got your heating and cooling. That's definitely fine. But let's just say this: the more outside of the Berlins and everything you go to, the more of a chance you may have to face that type of item. So that's also interesting as well. Like I know quite a few people that I worked with in Germany that don't have HVACs in their houses or anything like that. So yeah, that was surprising. So yeah, that took me back to Australia in the 70s, that's for sure. Actually, no, I like, because we had those stupid air conditioning units on the side of one side of your house, which is usually a living room, which is usually the room that you don't sit into. And so in the summer times, I remember the olds picking up the TV and moving it from one room to the next just because the air conditioning was there. And you all know which one it was. It was that box that was hanging half out of the house, half in the house, and when you walk past it outside, it was always dripping with water. That's the one I was talking about. That was the air conditioning. But it fucking worked, from what I can remember. But yeah, it's very interesting. Oh, here we go. You're going to love this one. Talking about mowing grass and everything, circling back to the very beginning. And then I think I'll probably kill it for that, and probably kill whatever the hell I'm doing here as well in the video. But you'll love this one. For garden work and shit like that, especially in Germany. In Australia, it's slightly different. I know that. In Australia, we have this, let's just say, chemical called weed killer. Okay, so basically, it comes in a bottle thing. You just spray it on like as you would like some type of window cleaning stuff, but obviously you just spray it on the ground and it kills the weeds. In Germany, that shit's illegal. They will not let you put that shit into the ground. They want to have their ground as natural as possible. Now that is really nice if you do not have to get the weeds out of your fucking ground. And they fucking grow everywhere here in Germany. And I'm still going to say here in Germany because I'm talking about Germany. And it is annoying because the only way you can get them out is if you actually get a, like, one of those garden knife blade thingies and cut them out. And of course, in Germany, and this is the part which really irritated me when I was living there, especially in the house, they've got this, not only does they have special regulations, and they have a lot of them in Germany, God, that's another fucking podcast there, but they also have like their local regulations, and the majority do not, or have this, I should say, this percentage of green versus house footprint, or versus a footprint. So you are definitely allowed to get like pavement stones and pave up the side of your house and in your backyard garden and stuff like that, assuming you have one. No problem. If you call the cement truck in and say, lay me a 10 by 15 down that way, they will tell you no, or they'll tell you to come and rip it out. They say it's against nature. It's because your property does not allow for it. It doesn't allow for the proper drainage and all the other shit, even though that if you slope the concrete as you lay it, you can definitely drain. But yeah, they will not allow for it. And they actually have people and neighbors running around checking people's houses to see, like over the fence or whatever, to see that. Also too, and this is the one that fucking irritates me the most, the fencing. In Australia, and I'm pretty sure in the US as well, you want your fence to be 8 foot, you put it up as 8 foot. You want it 6 foot, you put it up as 6 foot. You want a fucking 12 foot, put it up as 12 foot. Who cares? Germany, it is 180 centimeters from the ground, so that's basically 6 foot. But, and here it comes, folks, but if you are living on an incline, and actually I'll say it like this, when they say from the ground, they mean from the council property or the way that the ground has been laid there. So what am I saying? What am I trying to get to? If you live on a corner property, let's just say it like this. If you live on a corner property and you've got a path going past the side of your property and it's going on a downward slope, okay? That 180 centimeter or 6 foot property or fence height has to follow the ground going down. Not the ground line of your house, which might be flat, obviously, but the ground line of the actual path going down. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard, because it means if the side of the house and the path start at the same height, but then the council has decided to make a path going down the side of your house on a downward angle, and by the time you get to the end, the height is not the 180 centimeters really becomes, or 6 foot really becomes like a foot and a half of fence height at your property level. It's the most ridiculous thing. So it's basically the fence has to follow the path of the council, as opposed to your property where it might be raised and elevated and actually is plumb, or is basically flattened to the level of your house. I wish I could have pictures just going here just to show you what I mean by that. But it's these interesting things that are coming up there. So there is a portion, usually with housing area, this is why apartments are also quite favorable with respect to what you can and what you can't have. And that's basically annoying. But also too, apartment living, even though it sounds like it might be the better way, you got to deal with body corporate. And yeah, a body corporate in Germany is just as bad as body corporate everywhere else, no matter which country you're in. So there are some that are really good, and there are some that are really shit. And yeah, I have stayed in a place where it was really shit. So I did not want to do that again. But then again, the local government in some of the houses that they have here as well, it's absolutely nuts. What else do we say? Buildings in Germany. There you go. Here's a good one. They don't have high rises as what we would know them in the US, Canada, let's just say London as an example, just to put it in. I don't want to say everywhere in the UK. And Australia, they don't have them. I mean, I used to live in the city of Melbourne, and I used to live just off South Bank in a high rise. My apartment was on the 20th floor. So, yeah, I had a great view. But in Germany, there's no 20th floor. Even for some large organizations that may have headquarters in some places. Not really. The only place that I've seen high rises in Germany is in Frankfurt. And the reason why they say that it's in Frankfurt, at least this is what they told me. If they were giving me shit or bullshitting me, I don't know. But I'm going to go with it because it kind of makes sense. There is some type of a law in that area to say that their high-rise buildings cannot be higher than the church, or of a church. And that's why in Frankfurt they had the church on one of the highest hills or something like that. So that's what they've taken as basically the maximum height. So obviously church is up on the hill, which means they can build up to the height of the church, and that's why they got some large buildings there. Now again, this is what I was told. If they were telling me this in jest, that's one thing, but usually Germany is a very... There are taller buildings, I'd say yes, but there's no fucking high-rises anyway. There's maybe 2, 3, 4 stories in general, maybe 5 I've heard and seen. I know I'm going to mention this again because I went there on a business trip and I couldn't stop laughing. I was taken to the Sky Bar in Hanover. And just for everybody's understanding, again, I mentioned living in Australia on the 20th floor. So when someone tells me Sky Bar, also to taking in mind that I did live and work in the US and in Canada and a few other places, I've got sky, clouds, everything. I'm picturing the Burj Khalifa of Germany in Hanover. Well, the Sky Bar in Hanover was on the 7th floor. Oh, Jesus Christ, that made me fucking laugh. I'm just going, is this it? And it was literally a bar on the 7th floor. That's all it is. Like a hotel bar there. Maybe a little bit more fancy because they say it's so high and they had like tablecloths and shit like that. But yeah, so fucking disappointed. Really disappointed. And the view was some of the rooftops, which looked like they needed more work than anything else. So it wasn't even a great view. It was just like, I don't know how to say it. It's like putting up a triple story and then seeing your neighbor's roofs. That's what it was. So that's basically how it was. And then I was going, Sky Bar, look, go what? I'm seeing the clothes hoist of the guy that's over there. I can see through the window down the other side. There's not like a Sky Bar to say, and we're overlooking a lake or a sea or something like that. God, no. Also too, If you are coming to Germany, and if you are, let's just say, just get yourself a bit of familiarity with the language. No one says become an expert, but just be very careful. Because I also just remembered a few things. So when we say the sea in English, we're talking about a body of water, which usually is an ocean or something like that. In Germany, or in German, the word for sea is a lake. Okay? There you go. You're welcome. That's one thing you have to watch out for. So be very careful not to say it like that. So that's like, again, a little fun touristy thing that you guys should be aware of. Where else are we going to go with this? The German language is extremely complicated. I've tried learning it so many times. My wife tries to teach me, and probably because she's my wife, I just don't want to listen. But in general, it's not a simple language to learn. I can say a few words, I can get myself around, but yeah, it is very... There's a rule for a rule for a rule for a rule, and don't break the rules. But at the same time too, some of their stuff don't make sense. And I'll use my favorite one because I like to use it, and I've used it in the past just to annoy people when they say to me, "Oh, what's the matter? You can't speak German? You lived there for a couple of years, and what? You can't say anything?" I always like to throw in the der, die, das, and that is like, well, it's the article in front of a word. So it's like, I'll give you an example. Die Frau, which is like the woman or the lady. Der Herrn, which is the man. Der Jung, which is the boy. Now again, in English we only have the, we don't have the masculine feminine thing of that. And we've got das Mädchen, which is, well, it's a Mädchen is a girl, but the das is the part which kind of always threw me, because it's not die Mädchen, it is das Mädchen, which is, it's not, they're not utilizing the feminine for the girl, they're utilizing a plural for the girl. Kind of strange in that sense. Now again, I'm not a linguist, but I always like to throw that one out there at times just to say to people, oh shit, complicated language. Now if you speak other languages and you know, like for example Spanish, Greek, Italian with the masculine and feminine and all the other different articles you put in front of it, German should not be that difficult. But yeah, again, there is a lot of things you have to take into consideration, and if you've got the time and the willingness to do it, go for it. But yeah, just a few things that you should also take into consideration. What else is there? Food, yeah. I'd say food is quite comparable to wherever else you go to around the world, especially like, I don't want to call it first world, but more of, yeah, there's, you've got your food, you've got, in Germany, I must admit, it is, I would say, in comparison to Australia, it is definitely well priced. But then again, if you're looking at it from a marketing point of view, well, Germany has like 80 million people, so they've got a pretty good buying power as opposed to Australia when they've got, what, 27 now, maybe 28. So again, when you look at the comparison like that, you just go, yeah, okay, fair enough. So things are actually cheaper in Germany, I will say that. It's the same mathematics you can use for the US and Canada. It was exactly the same. The one thing that I want to say to my North American followers, like US and Canada, whatever the price tag says, in Australia as well, but in Germany, is what you pay. So I know in the US, and that tripped me up so often in the US, you've got your price tag, and then you go to the counter to pay for it, and then you get your sales tax or your regional tax on top of that. Oh my god, did I have fucking arguments with people going, hang on, no, this thing says, the sticker price says this. And they said, yeah, but then you throw in the tax, and you're just going, why can't you just put that on the actual thing? And they go, oh, sorry, sir, it doesn't, our systems can't work like that. I go, why? Every other bloody system in the world works that way. Why is yours so fucking difficult? How do I know the tax rate for Alberta, Canada versus Vancouver or British Columbia? I mean, Jesus, come on, give me a fucking break. So yeah, that's that lovely part. So in Germany, what the sticker says is what you buy. There's no additional parts. Tipping in Germany, I'm an Australian. I have gotten myself into many troubles with tipping, not only in Germany, but also in the US and in Canada. Australians, we don't tip, generally speaking. And if we do tip, the only tip would be something like, well, I'm going to give you a tip, be good to your mother. There you go. That's pretty much what you get from Australians. There is no mandatory thing in Australia where you have to give them 5%, 10%, whatever the hell bloody percentage it is. So it's also, being exposed to that and then coming into the US, Canada, and also Germany with respect to tips, kind of very hard for me to do it. I don't like to part away with money, as you know from my gaming, for pretty much nothing. And let's be honest, I understand the reasons behind why they do it, but I just can't. It's hard for me to do. Okay, that's my cultural limitation. I will say it like that. But again, you don't have to tip as much as what you do in the US and Canada. So again, a little bit of tipping, but not that much. And also too, in Germany, it's not really expected, even though they don't say no to it. But if you go out to a restaurant, for example, with German people, you don't really see tipping come into play. But if you go to a restaurant with like people that are non-Germans, then they'll try to push the tipping stuff onto you as well. So again, it's like every country in the world, you'll see things like that. So yeah, that's quite an interesting one. Fuck, I'm just also thinking, what else is there? What else can we talk about? What else am I willing to talk about, boring you guys senseless about? What else is there? I think we'll stay with the German theme. I could easily talk about other countries, but I'll stick with the German theme. What else is there? Politics I don't want to go into because it's confusing enough in Australia. Why would I want to over confuse it with German the way that they do it there, or the US or Canada? So yeah, politics I'm going to steer away from. But I think in general, the only comment I'll make with respect to politicians is that they are hated equally no matter where you go in the world. There you go. That's done. On to the next topic. What else is there? I'm just trying to think. Cost of living. Cost of living in Germany. That prior to COVID, it was a very different story to after COVID. I will say that, which is also which holds true for almost every other country around the world. It's still relatively affordable in Germany, but it is increasingly getting difficult. But at the same time, too, it's also it is a bit of a, how do you want to say it, a German cultural thing which they kind of have to get used to, that they are now catching up to the rest of the world with how bad it's getting. Let's just say it like that. And why am I saying it? It's literally because where things are actually happening, progressing, if you take a few steps back and look at the broader picture and look what's happening around, I mean, cost of living everywhere is getting more expensive, in Germany included. Cost of, and again, everything, taxes, insurances, and oh God, do they have insurances? I'll dive into that one for a quick second. Insurances in Germany. I mean, in Australia, again, we're quite simple in Australia when it comes to this stuff. You got your house insurance, you got your contents insurance, you've got your car insurance, and maybe your life insurance. Okay, that's basically about it. Well, in Germany, they have that, and they have more. They have insurances for your personal insurance. So if you're at somebody's house and you lean back in your chair and you go through their window, then you have to pay for it through your insurance, okay, your personal insurance. If you're at somebody's house and you're sitting on their chair and their chair breaks because you're sitting on it, then their insurance has to pay you out for the damages that have occurred as a result of that. I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. I am not giving you guys a false bullshit story. I've seen it with my own two eyes. And I was horrified. Because when I saw it and they were telling me what was happening, what was going on, it's like having an accident. Like if you've ever had a car accident where people exchange insurance details, it's exactly the same way. Now, if you're in Australia and you're sitting on someone's chair and the chair breaks, it's usually fuck shit, sorry, but bad luck. But yeah, in Germany, no, it's a claim on the insurance. It is fucking unbelievable. And it's not just that. They've also got insurances for you as a person if you want to take out a loan, like at a bank, and you're paying something off. You also have an additional. You can potentially take out an additional insurance on top of your life insurance for the mortgage insurance. That was something that was sitting there scratching my head, going, "Why the hell would you do that?" And they said, in the case you're dead or you can't work, at least you'll be able to pay your mortgage off. You go, okay then. If I'm dead, I don't care about my mortgage. But all right, fair enough. Mortgages are fun in Germany. Here you go. You're gonna love this one. And again, I don't know how it works in the US. I have to do a bit of work on this one, and as well as in Canada. At least my information is not as fresh as what it used to be. In Australia, when you get a mortgage, we call it, you get it for the life of the loan. So basically, if it takes you 20 years to pay it off, you pay it off in 20 years. You also have these banking products in Australia, which allows for like a withdrawal on your mortgage, or you also have the opportunity to pay more into it and pay it off sooner, all that other stuff. Or offset account, I think it's called. Yeah. In Germany, no. In Germany, they have a loan, so you can go to the bank and you can get a loan. But in Germany, the life of the loan is 10 years. I'm pausing for that. Now, it does not mean that you pay off a 200,000 euro loan in 10 years. In 10 years, you will pay off what you pay off. And then you have to then go and get another loan to pay off the rest. It is the most convoluted and absolute crazy approach I've ever seen. And I say this because I've experienced that one firsthand. So it works exactly the same way as a normal loan. There's no extra payments and stuff. Oh, okay. I won't go into that one because that would just confuse everything. But it's a loan. You get your how much you have to pay per month. But let's just say you took out a loan for 100,000. Let's make the math simpler. Let's say you did that about 5-6 years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, where the interest rate was 0.00 nothing in Germany. So you take your 100,000 euro loan out, you get the paperwork that says you have to pay your loan is valid for 10 years, and you will only pay back in 10 years 30,000. Okay? Then you turn around and say, so what happens with the 70,000? Do I just wave goodbye and say see you later? No. Because I asked that fucking question. They said no. You have to then apply for another loan for the remaining funds that you have left. That was for me, and again, I don't know how it works in the US and Canada, that was for me insane. I said, why can't you actually just give people the loan for the life of the loan? So if you can only afford to pay back, let's just say €1,000 per month, and to pay back the entire loan plus interest, of course, you can't forget that, it takes you 25 years, then why can't you say 25 years on the loan? And they say no, because in Germany they have to give you the freedom to actually go to a different financial establishment. So that means technically, if you wanted to, if you did your business, your original loan with Bank A, you don't like Bank A after 10 years, you can go to Bank B, get a loan for the delta that you have open from Bank A, and then spend the next 10 years with Bank B paying off the loan that you started off with from Bank A, as in delta there. It's the most ridiculous thing there. And also too, and if you win the lotto, and this is one thing I asked because I also wanted to know, and if you win the lotto and you turn around and say, I've won the lotto, I've won, let's just say, I don't know, 200,000, again, on a 100,000 euro mortgage tomorrow, and you want to pay it off, just say, I won, get rid of this thing, that's it, done, thank you very much. And they said, no, you can't do it. You have to wait until 10 years until you actually have completed the contract, and then you can pay off the rest. And I sit there and I said, what? I go, are you guys fucking nuts? I go, you've got the money there, you've got the capital, it's there. Take it if you've won the lotto and you can pay your house off. No, can't do that. You have to wait until the contract expires or ends for you to do it. Absolutely insane. Yes, you've got your early termination fees and things like that for banks. All of them do. But yeah, unfreaking believable. I'll tell you what, if I won the Oz Lotto and I turned around to the bank and I go, yeah, I just got like 25 million and I've got a $100,000 loan out, can I pay it off? They'd be fucking climbing over each other trying to fucking get you the paperwork to do that. They're not going to turn around and say, well, sorry, sir, you've got another 15 years of your loan here, so you kind of have to wait for that to happen first before you can pay it off. But yeah, that's an interesting part about the financial systems in Germany. There is so much more nuances there. I can't say where else shall I go with this one. Oh geez, but yeah, having those conversations with the bank manager in Germany, that was a fun part. Just sitting there scratching my head going, why would you guys do that? Terms and conditions, like every terms and conditions, you've got them everywhere for everything. What else is the other crazy shit? Sorry folks, I'm just trying to scratch my brain here because it's been a while since I've actually thought about this stuff. So there's the bank loan, shopping, going for fruit and vegetable shopping, or general shopping like at a supermarket. I'm gonna say this because there's I've got a bit of a bias on this one. So to the colleagues to my audience, let's say it like this. I think I'm in work mode. To the audience in the UK, in some parts, and also to the audience in the US and Canada. In Australia, when you went to the supermarket, you went to the checkout, the people at the checkout would bag everything up for you. Okay, that was their job. Still is for most supermarkets that you go to today, unless you go to the self-service one and then you do it yourself. But that was their job. Okay, I know in the US there was a concept of like the bagging that was done by a second person. At least I remember that one from the 80s, 90s. But yeah, that's where that's what it is. In Germany, there's not, and there never has been. So you would come in with your own bags. You can buy bags from there, but you come in with your own bags, and you would have to bag up your entire shopping yourself. All the cashier does is run the items over the scanner and then asks you to pay. That's all they do. And then they give you fucking attitude because you're not fucking packing these things up fast enough. Now, if you go off and do the weekly shop, you're not talking about 3 bananas and a couple of yogurts here, okay? You're doing a weekly shop. And if you're doing a weekly shop with a family, well, obviously, the more people you have that are going to eat, the more things you're going to buy, aren't you? So, yeah, it's just absolutely phenomenal. Now, I know they do this, they've got that Aldi shit in Australia that does very similar stuff like that. You bag it all up yourself and people say, oh, it's fun. It's less expensive to buy from Aldi. Yeah, sure. I don't know. I would pay the extra $5 or $6 for the service of them bagging up for me as opposed to me doing it myself. And let's be honest too, when we say that they bag it up, in Australia, they bag it up correctly. They don't, for the 95% part of the time, they don't put like a yogurt at the bottom of the bag and then on top of that put like 6 kilograms of fruit. They don't do that. They're not that stupid. They'll let things go through, they'll wait, and when things go in properly, they'll start bagging them up. So they've all been taught how to do that, which I really like, and I thought that was a great service. Because all you do at the end is just you pick up your bags, you put them in the shopping trolley, or you just carry them out yourself. That's pretty much the end of it. But yeah, no. In Germany, everywhere you go, you bag up yourself. That's what it is. Which is quite odd for a population of 80 million. You would think that that would be the case. Also, too, let's go into this one. Here's one for you. So in Australia, like I'll throw out a few brand names. Coles and Walmart. Coles and Big W. For the US colleagues, it's like basically a Walmart or a Target. Where am I going with this? Fuck, I lost my train of thought. Where am I going with this? So, fuck me dead. No, I was going with it. In Germany, the age of the people that work at the cashiers is not your high school students / university students. Now, I remember from being in the US and also living in Australia and working at a Big W a long time ago, that those high school university kids or technical college kids, whatever you want to call them after that, those jobs were kind of designed for that, in part, mostly, because you didn't have to pay full wage because of, let's just say it like this, in Australia, the wage laws are a little bit different. If you're 17, you get a certain amount, 18 the other amount, and I think it goes up to about 21, if I remember correctly, where you get the full amount at a Big W or Coles or whatever. So if you're working there from 15 and 16, well, obviously, 2 16-year-olds are cheaper than one person on a full-time salary. So that's why you see mostly young high school kids and things like that as part-time jobs there, which I think is fine. I wouldn't call it exploitation. I say it's fine because they get a bit of money and they can go off and spend it on whatever the hell they bloody want to, or save it for a car or whatever. But in Germany, you don't see that. You don't see like high school students, university students doing these kinds of jobs. And that for me is always just bloody interesting in that sense. And you just ask yourselves, or I ask myself for sure, where the hell are these kids getting the pocket money from? I mean, let's face it, if everybody has like the parents or grandparents who are the Onassis of the world, yeah, good luck to you. But the rest, don't know, could not find it, still haven't found it, to be very honest with you. Like, you got your restaurants and you got some of the, I'd say 20, 21, 22 people that are working there, but I'm not seeing the I don't want to say kids, but I'm not seeing the 15, 16, 17-year-olds there. And that for me is just, that's completely strange. And I know in the US they also have the high school kids working there part-time as well, and all the other stuff, yep, in different areas, for sure, get that. But yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, where have I seen them? Oddly enough, I think I've seen the younger looking people at Starbucks or at a coffee shop, but not at a supermarket or a supermarket, let's just say it like that. So yeah, that's also interesting for me, and very different. Again, each country does things differently, and yeah, for me that was the one I find very interesting. So yeah, if anybody's been to Germany and knows where that happens or can prove me wrong, please do so. I mean, I can't say I've been to every single shop in Germany, so I'm painting it with a very broad stroke, but in generally speaking, you don't really see it as much as what you would in Australia. And that's for me, I'm still on about that one, because when I was growing up, I mean, I had several part-time jobs. So yeah, I don't know how I would have grown up in Germany if that wasn't the case. I mean, geez, I had to save up to buy a car. It was a shitbox. Had to save up to put petrol in the car. Had to save up to put insurance on the bloody car. Had to change the tires, God knows how many times, because me being a fucking statistic, well, you know how it is. 18-year-old going out with the boys. You don't go off for a coffee. You go off and you do stupid stuff because you're a boy at that age. So yeah. Even then, oh God, oh, where can I go with that topic? Oh, I can go many different places. All right. I think that I've bored you guys enough with this stuff. Hopefully not, but yeah. So again, what's going on in the videos and stuff is just basically me talking and this running on in the background. It's nothing to do with the game. You've seen it. You know what's going on. If you like this kind of little format of me just sitting there talking shit and talking whatever the hell comes to my mind, please let me know in the comments. If you think it's okay and you want to like give it a like as well. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I've seen the counter going up of recent days, so I'm also quite thankful to that. Again, I would love to hit the 500 subscribers because then I'm eligible for the whole money thing, and I would just love to see what that looks like. I'm not expecting millions, folks, don't worry. I'm expecting like $1.50, but I'm just really just fucking curious to see it. So if you guys are curious to see it as well and you want to subscribe and you haven't, please do so. If you are kind of, and I would say it like this, if you're kind of like me, and meaning that you want to have to, or you don't really want to create an account to subscribe, but you just like the content, that's also fine as well. I've got no drama with that. Again, this is me doing this as a hobby. It's not my bread and butter. So that's it. But again, I'm interested to see your feedback on this. Also, too, bought myself a new desk chair because the other one had it, and you know what? This makes more fucking creaking noises and everything like you wouldn't believe. So I'm not exactly too thrilled about it. But apparently it's got this bullshit vibration thing with a USB. You'll love this one. So then again, I'll finish this up quickly just so you can have a good laugh at my expense. So the previous desk chair I had, well, let's just say I got it. It was a gaming chair. I got it for me to play computer games, and at the time I wasn't planning to play a lot of computer games. Let's just say it like that. When COVID kicked around and we all got told work from fucking home, that chair became my basically 7 to 7 chair, and the thing fucking just fell apart after so many years of just me with my fat ass in it and out of it, in and out of it, in and out of it. And yeah, the fake leather that it came with, it was like disintegrating. It was like falling apart. So I thought, you know what, fuck it, time to bite the bullet and buy myself a new chair. So I found something online. I went to the shops. I didn't like what I saw, and I found something online which I said, yeah, fuck it, I can kind of live with that. Got it, built it up. It's got this vibration feature that you actually have to plug in your USB cable from the chair to the computer for it to vibrate. It is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And yeah, it's not at the same quality as what the other one was, even though the other one took a bit of a beating. This one, if I move like this, you hear the cracking and the crumbling and everything like that. It's just absolutely nuts. I mean, the damn chair's about a week and a half old, and yeah, the left hand, what do you call it, armrest, feels like it's a joystick of its own right. If I could hook that one up with the USB, I could play fucking Star Citizen a lot better with this arm thing. But yeah, anyway, talking shit here, folks. But yeah, just a bit of a FYI. If you hear some creaking sounds in the videos to come up, you know it's from that fucking desk chair, and I think I'm gonna call it that. Just say a fucking desk chair. Anyway, folks, thank you for listening, and if you're watching, that's fine as well. I'm gonna end it here. Again, have a good one. Let me know what you think of it, and yeah, I'll talk ya. There you go. Good one, Evan. Too late. Talk to you in the next videos. Have a good one.